we still talking about the ending of this period in time, or the ending of this period, and the beginning of the next period. In my last sessions, I explained that all the evidence shows that the world development is under a materialistic paradigm. I mean, you just have to look at the nations of the world and see that all nations are involved in the proliferation of material products and services. That's what all nations are aspiring towards, greater richness and materialism. All nations. And if you look in the Bible, in Jeremiah, God told us to put our neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve the king, he said, and serve his sons and his sons' sons until their end time comes, until their period is fulfilled. In other areas in the Bible, it talks about this period as the time of the Gentile, which is the material development of the world. That's what the whole world is under. Now, when you're talking about the development of the world, you got to look at America. America is the greatest country in the world. I would say that because I'm a citizen of America. I love America, And I would just also say that if you look at the Constitution of the United States, you could take that Constitution and put it right next to the Bible. It's stand right on into the Bible, because we have the laws and our system of law. It's patterned after what the Bible got set up according to the way the law is supposed to work. However, I don't think that the lawmakers, even the citizens and the lawmakers, are aware of the important role that America has in this fulfillment of this process of having God's law established, and the important role that America must play because of that Constitution, and because the Constitution is matching so evenly with the Bible, and help bringing about this transition from the materialistic paradigm to the spiritual paradigm. And we have our presidents running for office. I really haven't determined which one I want to support now, but let them go ahead and do that. But we have got to look above, politics, and start realizing that America is a great country, and it has to fulfill a greater role in the development of things. We got to take our head, out of the box and start looking outside of the box and see what is the real purpose for America, being one of the leading country in the world. And as I said, you can take the Constitution and line it right up with the Bible, but they're not doing that, the lawmakers. I know this from a personal experience. See, Jesus said about the law, he said, think that not that I come to destroy the law, but to fulfill. So what did he mean about that? See, there's a system involved here. Jesus is not just a person, but he incorporated a whole system. And as I said, it was the ideal that he carried in his country's mind that has the power to eradicate sin and lay the foundation for the kingdom of heaven. And that ideal was the idea that all things were made by God, and all things that God made were good. That was the Son of God. But I'll get back to that later. But I'm talking about now the law, and how the great country that we have got to realize that we got a role to play here. Now, I go along with the politician, and I know they're doing a good job. All the presidents that we had have been outstanding presidents. But during this period, it's up to people, the general public, the ones that are listening to me now. We are the ones that got to kind of get behind this thing and let these politicians know, all of them, that America has a role to play in this. God didn't establish America as a great country for no purpose. It has a role to play. And I'm trying to show that I know that there's a discrepancy there. Jesus said, I come not to destroy the law, but to see that the law is fulfilled. Well, the way our Constitution is set up, the way that our judicial system is set up, that's exactly what we are supposed to do. See that God's laws are fulfilled. That's what we're supposed to do. But when you get a system where that can't happen, then something's wrong with the functioning of the Constitution, of the laws, the judicial system. Something's going wrong. It's not because of the way the system is set up. It's set up to operate right. But for some reason, it's not operating right. I can know this from a personal experience. Okay? For instance, I was having a problem with my wife and with my family situation, and I went before the law. You know, involved my stepdaughter. You see, now she was 14, and I explained to the people who sat in the judgment seat of the law that I felt that my stepdaughter had gone through puberty. And I know that God, I believe that God is making all these bodies. I know that no person on this earth can say that they cause that function to start operating. You know, can say that they brought on their own puberty. No male, no female can say, well, I determined I want my puberty to come at 13 or 14. That was something that God instilled in the physiological development of human beings, way before any of us, you know, starting back from the beginning. So if a person, whether male or female, has gone through puberty, that person is in a position to act as a grown woman. She can have a baby, or if it's a male, it can impregnate a female once it's gone through puberty. So see, this is God saying, okay, you have this right. I've given you this. But of course, our law says that you can't do this. You know, so there's a discrepancy between God law and man law. I tried to explain that to them, you know, but they didn't listen. They want to cast me out and say I was schizophrenia. And then I don't know what happened to me, but during that period is when I started having those nightmares, and this somebody in my dream trying to condemn me, not only of what I said was wrong about my stepdaughter, but about my battles in Vietnam for killing those people. You know, I'm supposed to be condemned. Every night I have those nightmares. This is what my system did to me. This is what happened to me. It didn't happen to me until I went through the judgment seat of the law, these nightmares in this fashion. So you see, the Constitution, Jesus said, I come not to destroy the law, but to see that the law is fulfilled. I explained to those who sit on the judgment seat of the law that I can understand why we would want our system set up where our young people, be it male or female, not be subjected to older people who want to use them in this fashion. You know, that's why we just kind of throw a blanket over the whole thing, that they're not supposed to do this until they become 18. You know, have sexual relationship until they're 18. You know, especially with someone who's older, because we are operating on a materialistic paradigm. You see, and we're not on a spiritual paradigm. That's why this law has been good that we had man law. But nevertheless, it's a discrepancy between man law and God law. Because when a young person goes through puberty, that is God saying you are ready to go now, you see. But of course, as I said, we operate on this materialistic paradigm, and I can understand why we have had to have this law. But when I explained to them that I was trying to figure out a way where I could give my stepdaughter the right that God has given her, without having her to go out into these public schools and be subjected to all the things that all those public schools, you know, the young people getting together and getting in relationships, and they're having a sexual relationship, even at 14 and 15 and 16, two young people together. That's why you get your unwanted pregnancies and stuff like that, you see. Because once they go through puberty, some people, some girls and some boys, you cannot say, don't do this. You're not supposed to do this. You know, they'll look at you kind of funny like and go, well, you're doing it, I'm doing it too. I got a right to do it. They won't say that, but they feel that they have the right to do it. It's part of their bodies now. You see, so I was trying to explain to them there was a discrepancy between man's law and God's law. Jesus said, I come not to destroy the law, but to see that the law is fulfilled. So we got to fulfill that law in that area. And our Constitution is set up to do that. So instead of them having this whatever system they put me in, while these people are here in my dreams at night, you know, tormenting me. Ever since that time that I've gone through this system. With this system in America, I don't know what it is. I love America, but I know that we are not functioning according to the way our Constitution is set up to function. We are here to carry out what Jesus talked about, you know, seeing that the law is fulfilled. They should have gone ahead and worked in that area. And then this would have been a good law, a good way to work out a thing to work out, that we got a discrepancy between God law and man law. This is just one area. And so, but the Constitution is set up to do these things. So we need to talk to our politicians, get their heads out of the box, with this competing against each other and all this type of thing, What they're doing a good job. I love the president. Whatever president he is, I'm sure he'll do as well as he can. But we have got to understand that we've got to serve a purpose, a greater purpose. And the people at the grassroots levels, we are the ones that got to encourage our politicians to start looking in this direction. We've got to do that. And so that is how the law that we have set up in this great country, the Constitution of the United States, is failing in its purpose to see that God's law is fulfilled. This is just one area. There are many other areas in which God's law is being cast aside because of man's law, you see. And we've got to fill that gap before we can begin to work towards the establishment of a perfect world order, of the kingdom of heaven on earth, because these discrepancies got to be worked out. You see, the Bible states plainly that the kingdom of heaven is composed of the righteous law of God. You see, so if we're going to have the kingdom of heaven on earth, we have got to learn how to negotiate those righteous laws of God that make up the kingdom. And this is just one area, you see. So we are the greatest country in the world, so therefore we have got something to do. So in this transition period. Now all the other nations in the world, I'm sure they got a role to play also, but I'm an American. And I'm saying that I have this personal testimony that something is going wrong here. And I'm still being tormented by these nightmares, And I don't really quite understand it, because I know that the people, the general public, know that what I'm going through, the ones that I've come in contact with. But they just turn a blind eye, They're like they don't even know what's happening. If you say too much, they want to put you in a mental institution and say you're crazy, So, but this is another area in the ending of this time and the beginning of the next period, you see. And I'm just showing what this great country of ours, America, which is the greatest country in the world, but we have got something to do. We've got a role to play. And we got to kind of encourage our politicians and the people that are in charge of the judicial system, that they have got to work in this fashion, We've got to do this. So I'll talk a little bit more on that subject the next time as we continue to examine Revelation and the ending of this period and the beginning of the next period. You see, because the beast that came up out of the sea, that's your planetary, the social development. As you read my book, The Blossom of Christianity, you'll see the beast that came up out of the sea is the planetary social development. And Babylon is right on top of the planetary social development. So the beast is the planetary social development. The spirit of proliferation of material products and services is the spirit of Babylon, the Bible calls it. You see, and Babylon is in all these nations, not just in America. All nations are participating in the proliferation of material products and services. And that's what our attention are focused toward. We have got to, and I want people to know here in America, to kind of encourage our politicians to not just cast someone like me aside. God has sent me here with a message. And people need to take serious what I'm talking about. They didn't take serious what Jesus was saying, even though they couldn't condemn him in any way. Those lawmakers couldn't condemn me. They can say that my stepdaughter didn't have the right that God has given her. How could they tell her she didn't have the right? I was trying to ask them to work with me and try to devise a way that she could exercise that right without getting into a lot of trouble. And for that purpose, I was thrown in a mental institution. And for that person, somehow, this force has been with me ever since, with these nightmares, tormenting me. I can't sleep at night. All here in America. So I just want people to know that. But I'm going to keep fighting. And I'm going to keep giving God word out as long as I got breath.